So, what topic would be most suitable after greetings? And that's what we are gonna deal with today. Learning how to say goodbye in Russian while keeping in mind the right context for each one. Just like in our greetings video, we are dividing all the phrases into 4 groups. Formal for, let me say, official settings. Semi-formal works almost everywhere. Informal for friends and family, and conversational options. And also today, I'm not going to bore you with another lecture about the difference between formal and informal stuff in Russian. But if you missed this topic, or if you just want a refresher, you can always check my videos on greetings and introducing yourself. And before we start with the vocabulary, there is one interesting fact I'd like to share. While the greetings culture in Russian is pretty brief, the goodbye culture is an endless process. In real life, on the phone, and even over text, literally everywhere. I don't know why, but Russian speakers can say goodbye 100 times, act like they're truly leaving, and still keep the conversation going. Like, okay, see you then. Yeah, see you. Oh wait, what do you say about your boss? He got a promotion, didn't he? Right, so blah 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 blah. Ah, I see. Well, I really gotta go. See you tomorrow, right? Sure, bye. Wait, tomorrow we are not meeting at your place, are we? Oh, I'd rather meet at your cafe. You know there is a cool place. Blah 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 blah. Okay, bye bye. Oh, by the way, what about your parents? Are they really moving into your flat? It can literally go on forever. That's why there is my 4th piece of advice on this channel. You don't have to just suffer for it. If you don't have time to talk, or if you don't want to, it's totally fine. We are all human. Even native Russian speakers struggle with this, where they want to leave, but the person they are talking to can't stop. I'm always suffering from this myself. I'm always the victim of this endless loop. But you can always politely say that you are really running late, promise to call or text later. Just promise it as sincerely as you can and try to keep this promise. Wish all the best, smile, wave, and immediately walk away, because only leaving can break this loop. A polite and friendly leaving, I mean. And now let's go into the vocabulary. So, as I said, we are starting with formal ways of saying goodbye in Russian. And the first phrase is goodbye itself, which in Russian is до свидания. До свидания. До свидания. До свидания. It's the most popular, neutral, and common word you'll hear everywhere. The absolute base you definitely should know if you learn Russian. The next widely used way of saying goodbye is have a nice. Just in English it could be morning, evening, afternoon, day, which in Russian sounds всего доброго, всего хорошего, всего наилучшего. Всего доброго, всего доброго, всего доброго. Всего хорошего, всего хорошего, всего хорошего, всего наилучшего, всего наилучшего, всего наилучшего. All of them means the same, and literally it means wish you all the kind, the good, the best. And this is a great alternative to до свидания that Russian speakers use when they want to be nice with you. It's considered formal in Russian, even though it's just a wish, simply because the phrasing sounds a bit too literary and elevated. I mean, the issue isn't the meaning itself, but the form of the phrase. That's why when Russian speakers want to wish have a nice morning, afternoon, just like day, informally, they just say whatever comes to mind naturally. The same logic with the formal way of saying good night in Russian. Доброй ночи. Доброй ночи. Доброй ночи. Доброй ночи. Technically, it's just also a wish. Literally means wish you a kind night, but the structure itself sounds again too poetic. That's why доброй ночи is classified as formal. And the last word in the formal category is прощайте. 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 The word that carries heavy, painful associations for Russian speakers and is the biggest trap in many, not all of them, but many dictionaries. If you look into some English-Russian or Russian-English dictionaries, you may see that прощайте means a simple goodbye, which is totally wrong. Remember, goodbye is до свидания. Прощайте means farewell, or this is goodbye forever. Russian speakers use this word when they say goodbye forever, or when they aren't sure if they'll ever see each other again, or at a funeral addressing someone who has passed away. So please don't confuse people with прощайте. Unfortunately, it's a super common mistake among learners that causes not just misunderstanding but also some bad vibes. Even in an appropriate context, прощайте sounds a bit unsettling to native speakers. It immediately triggers associations with death, breakups, guilt, and all that heavy stuff. I think there is no need to learn that word to use it, but you should definitely recognize it, especially if you're into Russian literature, movies, music, and opera. Прощайте, or its informal version, which we will see later today, is everywhere there. In almost every heartbreaking fucking scene. All of Russian literature is a one big misery. I'm just saying. And now the semi-formal section. Phrases that technically can be used both in formal and informal cases. And the first one is see you, which in Russian is до встречи. До встречи. До встречи. До встречи. Or see you plus time expression, which in Russian is до plus time expression. That is one of the favorite ways for Russian speakers to say goodbye, and you can use it in any situation, both with your boss or with your mom. Yeah, in informal cases, до встречи or до plus time expression sound again a bit elevated, but not so much like it was with the strictly formal phrases. And if with до встречи everything is clear, then with до plus time expression you have to know time expressions in Russian to put them after до, like in English. Parts of the day, days of the week, month, words like next, following, or any events like see you after dinner. But these long combinations are quite difficult due to grammar reasons to explain right now. It's better to learn them as needed with your tutor. That's why today I suggest learning only one phrase with до plus time expression that is most commonly used. До завтра, which means see you tomorrow. До завтра. До завтра. До завтра. For now, that's enough. The next semi-formal phrase is wow! Again, have a nice, but in this case, only day. And its much more informal version sounds like хорошего дня, which literally means have a good day. Хорошего дня. Хорошего дня. Хорошего дня. Actually, it has the same meaning as the form of всего доброго, всего хорошего, всего наилучшего, but stylistically it's much simpler and carries more human warmth. This is the main and I suppose the only difference between them. The same thing again with good night. Yeah, we saw a formal version of this phrase today, and now the semi-formal one. Спокойной ночи. Спокойной ночи. Спокойной ночи. Спокойной ночи. It actually means wish you a calm night, almost the same meaning as доброй ночи, but for Russian speakers it sounds really cozy and gives that family-like vibe. And in comparison to other semi-formal phrases, this one is mostly used informally, in family circle. However, you can still use спокойной ночи in formal cases, where the situation isn't strictly formal. And the last two semi-formal ways of saying goodbye in Russian: good luck, удачи, and take care, счастливо. Удачи, 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 счастливо, счастливо, счастливо. Trust me, for Russian speakers, there doesn't need to be an actual reason to say good luck or take care as a goodbye. People just say it because they want to and because they want to be nice to you and say something good, even if nothing is happening that actually requires wishing good luck. That's why don't be surprised if you hear it, and don't be shy to say it either. Russian speakers really love this удачи and счастливо. And if it's used in a formal relationship, it can sometimes be considered a sign that you have become closer and more open with each other than before with that formal до свидания. Maybe, but maybe not. But if you finally found a bro and it only sucks to use this freaky formal language, it's time to meet informal ways of saying goodbye in Russian. And the first one is bye, пока, пока, пока. Пока. The most popular and common way, the absolute king of the informal realm. Actually, that's all I can tell you about пока, but I have to remind you about the most common mistake that Russian learners or people who just know a couple of words in Russian make all the time. And that mistake happens when people accidentally hear пока or привет, which means hi, because with greetings it's the exact same story, which is why I have a video about greetings on my channel. And they accidentally memorize it. Or when you look up goodbye in the dictionary and see at least two choices: до свидания and пока. And so you of course choose пока to learn because it's shorter than freaking до свидания. And they start using пока everywhere, forgetting or not even knowing that it is informal word. Yes, you're welcome to use пока with your family members or friends, but not, at least not without permission, with your boss, your teacher, a shop assistant, or random person on the street. It sounds incredibly disrespectful. In some contexts, it can even be considered an attempt at humiliation, dominance, or passive aggression. And even if people understand that you didn't know and didn't want to hurt them, say immediately reflects something you just can't control. They'll be like, out of your mind. It's the exact same feeling as when a complete stranger walks into your house without your permission, like he owns the place and just lies down in your bed. So please, just don't forget, words have great power in any language, and sometimes before diving into grammar or hundreds of words, we first need to understand the true power of at least one of them to truly communicate and not stay in that endless loop of misunderstanding and disappointment. The next popular informal way to say goodbye is see ya, which in Russian is увидимся. 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 We already saw до встречи in the semi-formal section, so увидимся is just an informal way to express the exact same idea. A really nice word, used just as often as пока, and a perfect alternative if you want to practice something new. And the last thing in our informal section is that shortened, informal, but still heartbroken farewell. Прощай, 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 which is the short form of прощайте. They have completely the same meaning, no difference at all. Saying goodbye forever, or when you don't know if you are ever gonna see or hear from the person again, at least for the next few years. But in the case of прощай, it refers to people who are really part of a private life. I mean, family member, close friend, or your pet. But just like with прощайте, there is actually no practical need to learn прощай. You should know its true meaning and not fall for that dictionary trap. No traps from today. And our last stop for today isn't even slang, because in the world of goodbye words in Russian, there are hundreds of slang words, including ones people make up themselves, which change every day and differ from group to group. But there is one thing that would be a crime to skip, and that's давай. 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 It's a word that, like the famous Russian yes, no, maybe, can blow Russian learners' minds, because давай has two primary meanings. First, let's, as a suggestion, like let's go, давай пойдем, or let's have a drink, давай выпьем. Second, it's a form of the imperative give, like give it to me, давай это мне, or give him more money, давай ему больше денег. But давай is also one of the most popular ways to say goodbye, like really? Or давайте in the formal version, or another incredibly popular form, ну все, давай, ну все, давайте. And it means nothing, absolutely nothing. Nevertheless, about 95% of conversations don't end without давай or давайте. And the remaining 5%, I don't know. Are you admitting? A strictly professional negotiation, a speech at Harvard. I mean, Russian speakers use давай in one form or another almost everywhere and all the time. What's more, they combine it with other goodbye phrases like ну давай пока or ну все, давайте, до свидания. And also Russian speakers love tossing this word back and forth, creating that very loop I mentioned at the beginning of the video, like ну все, давай, ага, да, давай, ну давай, да, давай, ага, давай. And it makes zero sense. It's literally just repeating one word, which can go on forever and sometimes even start a new conversation with a new goodbye loop. So, if someone tells you a single давай at the end of a chat, don't panic thinking they are asking you to give them something. It's just goodbye. And don't be shy to use it informal or formal depending on the context, because Russian speakers love when foreigners use this fucking давай. And now the summary table, as usual here and for you. Next time, we will continue our reading and pronunciation section with single sound vowels, the vowels that produce only one sound. That's not just theory, but also a bit of practice. But for today, that's all, and I hope this little lecture was useful or at least entertaining for you. See you next time here on the same channel with another video and with your teacher Anna. До встречи!